You've been in comics? I haven't heard of any Penny Larceny comic lines. Yeah, no, I've never the title character. I'm usually the one-shot filler story between arcs, and they always get me so wrong. And the few times my mother was featured back when she was active, well, they definitely got her wrong, like she's some cackling harpy. It's kinda depressing, but also good to know at least someone will remember me in some way, right? You could set the record straight, talk to the comic companies, give them your story. We don't get to choose who writes our legacy, not even Capes, not much you can do. Maybe you'll be able to read the adventures of Penny Larceny and Doctor Mayhem in the future. Maybe you'll be able to read the adventures of Penny Larceny and Doctor Mayhem in the future. Wonder if there'll be a comic starring us eventually. How is anything we've done comic-worthy? I'm just furthering my research. Through crime and shenanigans, we could be a fun duo, if any of the comic publishing houses want to do a mask-focused run, I mean. Honestly, I'd prefer not to be immortalized as a mad scientist. I want to go down as the guy who cures cancer, remember? Trust me, any memorial beats zero memorial. At least stories were actually written about my mom. They got a lot of details wrong, but she's a legend. I'm not in this for fame, not exactly. I don't want social media followers or my name in lights. But I do want to be remembered in some way. I want to honor my family legacy. I don't want the Larceny line to die with me. Oh, you want to be a mother then? Oh, sure, okay, that came off as way too forward and creepy and not a first date discussion. Actually, for me and my husband, when we had our first date, that for sure was part of our discussion. It's not a subject that you should be talking about, just in general, you're not advised to. But for my husband and I, it was important for us to do it on the first date to weed out the vast majority of people where that would have not been an appropriate subject, because having kids was something that was very important to us, and we were like, we didn't want to waste anyone's time, including our own. We wanted to make sure that whoever we were dating was perfectly comfortable talking about kids, not necessarily with each other, but at least talking about the idea of having kids eventually. And not being afraid to talk about it on the first date if you're really that passionate and interested about it, which we were. So for us, talking about it on a first date was not essential, but it was advantageous. But in general, not advisable, unless you're like us, unless you're like me and my spouse. Relax, I get it. One topic flows to the next, that's good, that shows we've got chemistry. And I've considered it. It's an option for my future, if a remote one. Kids, who needs the hassle? You're doing fine as a single cat burglar. I think it'd be nicely poetic, considering the good relationship you had with your mother. Isn't it way too early to talk about raising kids with Isaac? Heck no! If I was the voice in her head, heck no. I think it'd be nicely poetic, considering the good relationship you had with your mother. I know, right? And okay, this is no slight against my mother, but I'd do a little better. I wouldn't raise my kid to be a thief. I didn't really have a choice. The family business was going to be my business, that's it. But I'd give my potential kid a choice. Good for you. I want to give my kids a choice too. Emphasis on potential, because that's all this is. Problem is, the idea is moot if I can't stop living hand to mouth and scraping by. I'd need to actually provide for a family. But in this economy, plants are the new pets are the new children, and kids are only if you have massive disposable income. Yeah, my parents really had to grind to provide for us, and even then, they had to take out that dodgy A loan for my schooling. Wish we'd never signed that yellow stack of forms. Wish I'd found another way. Can't change the past, Isaac. But if we can get our lives on track, if we could provide a good home, I think I'd adopt. I was an orphan once. I know what that's like. I'd want to provide a good home to someone in need. I have 2 kids right now through surrogacy, and my husband and I never fully discussed this, but if it were up to me, I would entertain the idea of adopting a child eventually, because there's a lot of children in need of a good home, and I would specifically wait for my kids to be a little older so that I could adopt an older child, the children that are at that age where it's significantly harder for them to be adopted. Because most people who are trying to adopt kids, they prefer the younger the better. You know, they want to be able to experience the full idea of parenthood from maybe even as early as newborn, and also establish that bond earlier on so that they do kind of see you as a biological parent and not as this parent that adopted you later in life, and you remember what life was like when you remember what life was like before they became your parents, you know, so a lot of there is an appeal for adopting younger kids, which means the older kids have a harder time the older that they get to being adopted. So if we had extra disposable income, I would consider adopting, just to help not only like provide, not to add a new hopefully loving member in the family, but to be able to help the kids that really do need a new home and a new family and need love in their lives. I'd like that. I really would. Volunteering to be a dad then? Well, he can be a daddy first. He can be a daddy first before he can be a dad. I mean, and I'm not trying to pressure you or to plan too far ahead. We only just started. You are so easy to rattle and it's kind of funny. Chill, man, I get it. Right. I don't want to blow this date or this relationship for that matter. He's so adorable. You and I, we get along so well. I'm so calm around you, like everything just fits. And I guess I'm saying, like, if we can keep this rolling, if we come to find that this actually works for us long term, then I promise that talking family one day won't scare me off. You got my word on that. I'm glad to hear it. Good wine, good company, and maybe even a future. It's a good sign that we're both willing to explore what life could be like for us. Being with Isaac gives me hope. Hope that we can both be something new, something wonderful together. 2 hours slide by easily, the two of us laughing, chatting, sharing personal thoughts. Things just flow so easily between Isaac and me. But eventually it's time to call it a night. Even hardened criminals need their beauty sleep. Leaving one last conundrum. So, do we split the check? Am I picking it up? What's the protocol here? All the pocket money I have comes from you thanks to our jobs together. So in a way, you're already funding this outing, right? You know what? We'll keep it simple. I'll pay. Oh, what a gentleman. He passes his credit card to a member of the waitstaff, then sits back to wait. And moments later, it comes back in pieces. What the? Did you just cut up my card? It was canceled, sir. Your bank refused the charge and told us to cut up the card. Oh God, please don't kill me. I've never heard of a bank ordering somebody to cut up someone else's card. The fork? Used to angry supervillains taking the wrath out on the staff. Despite a strict instructor's policy not to do that, the waiter makes himself scarce, as Isaac takes deep breaths. Visualize a happy little field, happy little trees, all your enemies on fire. Skip that last part and try again. Happy little field. And Isaac's phone beeps at him. Incoming text is actually a phone, as opposed to actually not a phone, which is odd since he doesn't have any friends I know of. Don't look, just in case it's bad news. That's the ringtone for my parents. Sorry, I have to check this. And he glances at the large paragraph of text on his phone, before basically exploding. A lien on their mortgage? Now the forking bank is going after my family because of my debts? Isaac. Nope, Dr. Mayhem gets more and more livid. I play by the rules. I try to do this the right way like a good little citizen, but it's never enough for them. Okay, Isaac, remember? Deep breaths. Happy little trees. I'm trying to save humanity and these shirt lords. Take another sip. These shirt lords who ran me up the pole with a student loan I could never repay just care about their bottom line. And now they come after my parents? That's it. I've had it. This is absolute forking bullshit. What do they want from me? Blood? Do they want blood? Then I'm gonna get bloody. These bees will rue the forking day they thought they could control Doctor Mayhem. Isaac! Fortunately, my outburst interrupts his rant. This is not who you want to be, remember? Fork. I think I need to be alone right now. I've got to think this through. I'm sorry, Penny, I need to go. Okay, but if you do want to sit and feel things like you said, I can listen too. I care about you. No, I'm past the point of feeling things. In this case, I need to be the problem solver. It's time I finally put a stop to this. He excuses himself from his seat and walks out of Destructo's. I don't like where this is going. He was finally finding his groove, figuring things out. Now the bank's gone and pumped up the mayhem in the doctor. Isaac may end up needing me to solve some problems too, like the problem of busting him out of prison. Wait a second, he was my ride here. Shirt. Another sip. Fortunately, I can just call a getaway rideshare back to my hideout, but dang, he definitely lost focus if he completely forgot that. But this is no time to hold it against him. Best I can do is try to reach out to him and wait for him to be ready to reach back. And maybe try to search the couch cushions for bail money. The day after. Hours passed, waiting to hear back from him. Eventually I went to sleep because, well, what else was I gonna do? Get up, have some breakfast, despite groceries running thin, and keep on waiting. Reread some comics for comfort, and keep on waiting. Until finally... A job? He's asking you to do a job for him? That's it? He said he wanted to solve the problem. I guess he has a solution in mind. Penny, I know you love the guy, but this is risky. You see that, right? If you follow him into hell, I might be the only one who can keep him from ending up there. I'm going to his hideout to see this through. And you're expecting me to run comms and tech for this, no doubt? If you don't wanna. Penny, you're my only family. If this is what you want, I'll back you. If only to keep you safe. Just be careful, okay? Okay, thank you, Shadow Lord Hellclaw. You can call me Gibson. It's cool. Okay. One rideshare later, and I'm at the basement hideout of Dr. Mayhem, ready to face what's to come. I'm expecting to see smashed equipment, signs of his anger, or even a giant wall of crazy full of post-its and colored string. But no, he's calmly sitting at his computer, browsing a website. Hey, Isaac, everything good? As good as can be reasonably expected? Hey, Penny, take a look at this. He gestures to the webpage for Gold Fidelity Capital Savings and Loans. When I was young, I used the loan services of Gold Fidelity to get money for my tuition. That's our target. Okay, so I robbed the bank for you. Simple, easy, done. I know I keep calling it a bank, but really it's a financial corporation. There's no vault full of cash to rob. Instead, what I want is two things. First, we erase my debt. Mark it as paid, close out the account, and call off the dogs harassing my family. Okay, physical infiltration to gain access to their systems, computer hacking to modify records. No problem, Gib and I can handle that. I'm just glad to hear you aren't looking for violent revenge against them for screwing you over. You aren't looking for violent revenge against them for screwing you over, right? That's the second thing I want your help with. They went after my family, Penny. My family. That shirt cannot go unanswered. We wipe away the debt, and we wipe Gold Fidelity off the map. Show them what it means to cross me. They want Dr. Mayhem? Fine. They get Dr. Mayhem. If we destroy the Fiscal Empire, this puts the map. Go after a major money corp, and they'll find a way to hit you with terrorism. This is a terrible idea. He's justifiably angry, but he has to play this cool. Seek vengeance, but with subtlety. Go after a major money corp and they'll find a way to hit you with terrorism. This is a terrible idea. For capitalism, but yeah, we gotta be careful. Eat the rich only feels righteous until you start practicing actual cannibalism. I'm still going to support him, but I'm not gonna kill people or bomb any buildings. That's not me. Or him. Okay, time out. There's mayhem, and then there's mayhem. I'm willing to help you, but there are lines I don't cross, and neither should you. Right now, you're only in the books for some fraud and various wacky misdemeanors. Nothing overtly violent. Don't go down that path, Isaac. If I don't do anything, they're just going to keep doing this, again and again. I'm not saying do nothing. I'm saying do the smart thing. You're a smart guy. Do the smart thing. You keep telling me you don't want to be a lifer, a full-time career mask like me. You want a way out, but this isn't the path. I care about you, Isaac, and you care about me. Hopefully enough to respect my point of view on this kind of stuff. Yeah. Of course, I care about you too. Good, because that's the only way this can work. If I'm free to warn you when I feel like you're going too far, which is very important in a relationship, don't expect obedience. I'm going to challenge you when you're straying from what you've said you want to be. That is what me and my husband do all the time for each other. If we do this, we design the strategy together. We'll save your bacon and punish them, absolutely. But clearly, with skill above all. If that's good with you, we'll do this. Yes, you're right. Okay, I respect you and will hear you out if you object to any part of this. Okay, good. And as your advisor, I suggest the most prudent course of action would be to have me take out a loan. What? You also want to be in debt to these sharks? 'Tis a ruse, of course. A way to use my case as a Trojan horse to track it through their systems and find your case. I'll go to Gold Fidelity, posing as a hopeful young student just like you were, and bait the hook. You know my process. Case the joint, perform the heist. We do not rush into kicking down the door and unleashing hell, okay? Okay, as long as we put this to bed once and for all. That's the plan. Let's get scheming, Doc. I've got a loan to secure. Oh look, it's this exact same building again. Breaking the bank, casing the joint. This is going to take some improvisation. I need to get a lay of how their loan system works. Some starting points for my late night caper with lockpicks and stuff. Which brings us to Gold Fidelity. Not your traditional neighborhood bank with tellers and such. This is a loan and finance company. And here's me in this button-down corporate fiscal empire looking like a tourist. Comms check, 1, 2. Reading you fine. You sure I shouldn't have dressed up a bit nicer for this? I was wearing a hoodie and jeans when I rolled up asking for money. We need the same variables and controls for this experiment. Repeatable results from repeatable actions. We follow the same path I did and see what happens. Makes sense. It also saves money on the art department for this game. Okay, good to see you getting into this heist. You're fun when you're all sciencey. I'll play the role of the hopeful but financially strapped dreamer. Not a hard character for me to slip into, honestly. After waiting a good long while in the lobby, I'm now standing in front of a standard office desk, waiting for the loan official to show up. And, of course, she hurries over, carrying a fresh cup of coffee with her, gives me a bright smile and offers a handshake before sitting down. So sorry for the delay. It's been very busy this afternoon. It's okay, I didn't mind the wait. I'll be your financial advisor today. How may I help you? The advisor. Capitalism ho. Hey. Matchmaker again, she sure does get around. We've seen her before, remember? Matchmaker again, she does get around. Matchmaker? The King in Yellow's right-hand woman? No, she's not wearing a mask or a cape. Different person. She's wearing a lanyard and a photo ID. I hardly think a criminal mastermind would dare to wear that. Calls too much attention. The advisor wakes up her computer and logs in, loading up various bits of software providing the 21st century equivalent of loan paperwork. And conveniently dumps her password. We get advantage gained without really doing a choice. And conveniently dumps her password directly to the hidden USB keylogger I plugged in while waiting for her. Hehe, all according to plan. Gibbs is gonna have a field day with this one. We'll sneak in tonight and use that access to zero out Isaac's loan. So, Miss Just Kidding, is it? Tell me what brings you here today. She knows exactly what who Just Kidding is. I've been thinking I need to improve my career prospects. I've got a GED, but what's holding me back is a lack of a college diploma. I've heard good things about Gold Fidelity, helping other students like me find their dreams. It's true, we're one of the leading providers of educational loans in the nation. Tell me a little about yourself, your family, your background. We like to really get to know our clients so we can serve their needs. Let's really vamp here, just a poor kid from a poor family dreaming big. Let's match Isaac's starting point. Lower middle class, can't afford college. Let's play it safe, not give a ton of background details, just secure the loan. Let's match Isaac's starting point. Lower middle class, can't afford college. I'm from a very hardworking family. They provided for me and I was never really left wanting, but higher education, well, that's beyond our means. It just feels so far out of reach. I want to go to college and secure a good career so I can help my family out the way they helped me. Do you think Gold Fidelity can help me with that? She taps away at her keyboard, entering something in. I can't see the screen from this angle. I'm sure we can assist you, although I have a few concerns. Your credit rating seems quite sound, but there's not a lot in your records to work from to determine your qualifications. One flaw of Gibson coming up with a whole new just kidding. The paper trail only goes back so far. Did I tip my hand too much with the backstory? Does she suspect? Please, ma'am, this is really important to me. If you could just, I don't know, nudge things through for me? It's important to be thorough. Perhaps if you could provide more... Before she could continue, a man in a well-tailored suit quickly joins us, offering a professionally curt nod of the head my way. I believe I can take it over from here. I'd like to get hands-on with this one. Of course, Mr. Sterling. She logs out of her computer as they swap positions, him taking the seat she previously occupied and logging in. It's good to meet you, Miss Gidding. I'm Harrison Sterling, Vice President of Gold Fidelity. Wow. I didn't think my case warranted someone that high up the food chain, you know. A light buzz from the earpiece distracts me. That's the same Fork who handled my loan. He wasn't a VP back then, but it's definitely him. So, that advisor said something about my credit history being an issue? I don't think it'll be any concern whatsoever. She can be a stickler for the fine details, but me, I'm a big picture sort of man. Good, that means he's more gullible. Or he's scheming his own scheme. So it says here that you have a strong work background or looking for something more... He looks me over head to toe, and I swear I can feel him comparing me to some mental skin tone chart in his brain. I think it's admirable you're looking to better yourself. You've got what it takes to go far, with the right ambition. I believe I can help you, Miss Kidding. Let's just get you set up with the proper paperwork. I expect him to continue typing, but he reaches into a drawer and pulls out a fresh stack of forms printed on yellow paper. So what kind of degree are you looking to get? Curious new development. I'll stick to the script on this one. I've always wanted to be a doctor. Heck, I played doctor all the time with my dolls when I was a kid. That does not mean what you think it means. Penny, phrasing. That does not mean what you think it means. What? I operated on my dolls all the time, replacing their arms with robot claws and shirt. Isn't that normal? If I can do something for my community to really give back and provide medical services, it'd just be great. I know medical school costs a whole lot, but nonsense. With the right academic program and the right financial aid, anything is possible. And I know just the right school for you, assuming you don't have a candidate lined up already, of course. Not really, no. I mean, I wanted to make sure this was possible before I got my hopes up. Everything's possible with Gold Fidelity in your corner. I'll contact the recruiter I know. We'll smooth the entire process out for you. You'll be on your way to a brighter future in no time. My hidden earpiece crackles lightly as Mayhem whispers away at me. That's also how things went down for me. He generously reached out to a recruiter. Maybe the same one he wants to set you up with. I know we're just doing this to gain system access, but write it out. Maybe there's more going on here. He continues asking questions about my goals, my financial status, plenty of personal details. And instead of typing them in, he fills out the stack of forms. Very old school. Believe it or not, this is a bad thing. If everything were electronic, Gibson could bust in and trace my application through their computers. The key locker I planted would be enough. But if those papers are going to be dumped into one of the hundreds of filing cabinets in this building, we need a way to track them. Which tool do you think I should use this time? Scent marking the paper would be nice and subtle, if you can pull it off. An RFID tag would do the job perfectly, but might be a bit more noticeable. Swap the paperclip for a tracking device. May need a distraction first, though. Scent marking the paper would be nice and subtle. Yeah, I kind of like the scent stuff. A little gross, but yep, that'll do it, and he'll barely notice. You know, I may be the thief here, but you're clearly learning the ropes. Good for you. For the time being, I sit back and answer questions about my financial history, based on the script I worked on with Gib, until it comes time to sign the papers. Okay, sign here, and here, everywhere I marked with an X. Right. I slip the tiny capsule into my hand as I reach for the form, and crush it, lightly dusting the papers with, Gibson's P. Ow! Oh. Okay. Look, it's a scent I'm innately familiar with, and one he can easily help me track later. It's gross, but it gets the job done. After signing the paperwork with my fake name, I slide it back across the desk. Okay, that should, He's sniffing the air. Sorry, that was me. I have IBS. My apologies. It's okay. No problem. He jots down a brief note before dropping the papers into a folder. Hopefully he's just a crusty old guy who hates computers and some underpaid intern is going to type that stuff up later. I believe we'll have no problems arranging or financing, Miss Kidding. You're exactly the sort of person we're looking to support here at Gold Fidelity. And starting tomorrow, you'll have the funds you need and a good school waiting to accept you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sterling. I'm looking forward to it. And I booked the heck out of there. Fresh air greets me as I emerge from the financial empire of the Gold Fidelity. Good for taking a nice, deep, centering breath. Fork, was worried I seriously beefed it in there. From what I saw through your lenses, I think you did fine. But I'll admit, I'm not an expert on these things. Honestly, that was sketchy from word one. The advisor almost clocked me at the start, while Sterling was all too happy to approve me through, even after I fumbled at the end. That's a little weird, don't you think? I don't know, is it? I'm bad at reading people, you tell me. I'm bad at reading people, you tell me. You think he's up to something shifty? I'm bad at reading people, you tell me. You think he's up to something shifty? Maybe. I'd say we should investigate a bit deeper before we act. Maybe I sneak in as a janitor tomorrow and do more recon. The bank's moving fast to foreclose on my family home. We can't sit around pondering conspiracies. We've got to act. No more recon. We go in tonight. You and I. Tonight? Tonight. No helping it. And I want in on this one, so I'm coming with you. Heck yeah. This is my future on the line. I'm intending to fight for it with my own two hands. That's not how this works. I'm your field agent. You sit in the big chair, mwahahaing and stuff. Are we partners in this, or am I just your boss? Partners. You know we're partners. Then I'm coming with you. And don't worry, I've got a few tricks of my own. I won't be dead weight on a caper. I actually want him to come with us. That'll be cool. See you soon. I'm not a fan of how hard Isaac's pushing for this. He doesn't have a thief's patience. I get why he wants to get out in the field. He has more stake in this than any other caper I've pulled for him. But part of the reason I work on my own is for his safety. If I bungle it and go to jail, he doesn't, and I'd never snitch. I'll have to keep him protected tonight. I care too much not to watch out for him. That is a disadvantage, I will admit. Breaking the bank, the heist. Breaking into the headquarters of a highly sensitive financial corporation. This situation calls for approaching from oblique angles, finding entrance through a hidden sub-basement or an insecure third-story office, navigating a maze of hallways, evading security cameras, memorizing the patrol patterns of guards, weeks of planning to carry off a perfect heist, in and out like a ghost, zero footprint, absolute precision. Or we could just bust in through a service entrance. Sure. Seriously, we just walked in the back door. Here we are, dead of night, in the middle of Gold Fidelity, strolling in like we own the place. We can't sit around while you plan the perfect crime. Not this time. And we also can't rush something like this. There's a process, remember? What about the silent alarms? Gibson has it covered, yes? All set! I can't cut them, but I've redirected them. They're going to be a very confused... They're going to a very confused lawnmower customer service center. Okay, fine, but there's also security cameras and digital recordings, and you're not even wearing a proper mask. Mayhem taps the surgical reflector on his forehead. I built an IR blaster into this thing while you were playing with paperwork. Should overwhelm any digital camera photoreceptor. My face will be blurred. You should be proud. I'm finally wearing a mask. Well, okay, but what about the guards? They won't be fooled. Halt! Halt! Stay where you are, Mr. Mayhem. See? Like that. That's what I mean. This is why we don't skimp on prep work. If Crimer were tracking me right now, I'd drop to 0 stars instantly for that dumb fumble. Screw Crimer ratings. This is about... I said freeze! Okay, now technically you said halt and stay where you are, which we're doing. And do you mind? I'm trying to have a conversation here. And Isaac steps right around me, heedless of having a gun waved at his face. Sir, if I may ask, how much do you weigh? What? Correct dosage is important. Looking like 220, 250. Okay, this should suffice. I don't. And Isaac flings a tiny capsule with his fingers, having snuck it out of his hiding spot in his gloves. The guard coughs briefly, then sags to the floor, unconscious. Bravo, Isaac, bravo. It was kind of hot. Not gonna lie, it was kind of hot.